And it's messy, but it's mine, she said, as she opened a demo displaying a sleek interface designed to simplify real-time communication across platforms, text, video, even encrypted data transfers. It was intuitive, elegant, and startlingly similar to a project his R&D team had been failing to solve for months. This is impressive, he murmured, his voice dropping. Really impressive. Why haven't you shown this to anyone? If you're so smart, then translate it. The billionaire CEO scoffed, mocking the waitress until she left him absolutely speechless. What if the brightest mind in the room isn't the one wearing the suit? Stay with me, because this isn't only a business story. It's about breaking assumptions, surprising brilliance, and the truth that sometimes the people we overlook end up changing everything. Michael Langston lived for control. At 42, he'd turned Langston Enterprises into a tech powerhouse, its sleek devices and cutting-edge software shaping the digital world. His tailored suits, sharp features, and piercing blue eyes dominated boardrooms, where his impatience was as famous as his victories. But tonight, control was slipping through his fingers. A $2 billion merger with Synergy Solutions hung on a 200-page contract, overflowing with legal jargon that confused even his Ivy League-trained lawyers. Deadlines pressed in, competitors watched, and Michael's temper simmered. He needed a break. His driver suggested a small diner a few blocks away, a fading place called Rosie's, with chipped counters and buzzing neon signs. Michael almost refused, but eventually agreed. He wasn't here for food. He just needed space to think far from the sterile hum of his office. Inside Rosie's, the air smelled of coffee and fried onions. A soft Motown tune drifted from the jukebox, and the handful of customers, truckers, night shift nurses, barely glanced at the man in the $5,000 suit. He slid into a booth, spreading the contract across the table as he slashed at confusing clauses. Frustration clawed at him. Indemnification protocols, fiduciary contingencies, escrow requirements. The words blended into nonsense. Grace Harper, 28, observed him from behind the counter. She had worked at Rosie's for 3 years, moving with steady skill as she carried plates and refilled cups. Her auburn hair was tied in a messy bun, and her green eyes held a quiet alertness, like someone who noticed more than she revealed. Grace was good at reading people, a talent sharpened by years of serving strangers. She approached his booth, sneakers squeaking softly. She set down a glass of water, her voice warm but not intrusive, and said, "Rough night?" "You could say that," he muttered without looking up. She glanced at the papers filled with frustrated notes. "That looks like a lot. Sometimes talking it out helps." He let out a humorless laugh and finally met his eyes. "What, you a lawyer now? Stick to serving coffee." Grace's smile stayed, but her eyes sharpened. "Just trying to help. You look like you're fighting a bear." "It's a contract. Unless you've got a law degree hidden under that apron, you wouldn't get it." She tilted her head, unfazed. "Try me. Explain it in plain English. Fresh eyes never hurt." He laughed, cold and arrogant. "Oh, a genius now. Fine. If you're so smart, translate it." He shoved the contract towards her, expecting her to back down. She didn't. Grace picked up the stack of papers, treating them with unexpected care. She sat across from him and started reading. Michael watched, half amused, half irritated. Surely she wouldn't last 2 minutes. But her brow furrowed as she analyzed the text, lips moving slightly. She pulled a small notepad from her apron and scribbled notes with tidy precision. "All right, this part, indemnification protocols, it's about who's responsible if things go wrong, like buying a car that breaks down the next day. This clause tells you whether you pay for the repairs or the seller does. Right now, Synergy wants you to take most of the blame if their tech fails after the merger." Michael blinked. That isn't wrong. His annoyance softened into interest. Go on. She flipped another page. This escrow requirement. Think of it like money locked in a piggy bank until you both meet certain conditions. They want $500 million in escrow, which is pretty steep. You could negotiate that or release it in stages. Michael leaned forward, his skepticism fading. How do you know this? Grace shrugged lightly. I listen, I read. People underestimate waitresses, but we hear everything. Business deals, breakups, secrets, and I like puzzles. He still wasn't convinced, but he listened. For the next hour, Grace broke down the dense contract with surprising clarity. She didn't just simplify, she exposed risks his legal team had overlooked, like a loophole letting Synergy walk away with no penalty if Langston's stock dipped below a threshold. She suggested counter-clauses, using everyday analogies to explain abstract ideas. Michael's arrogance cracked. This wasn't just a waitress with clever words. There was logic, intuition, an incisive mind. "Who are you?" he murmured. Grace set the contract down. "Someone good at figuring things out. You done mocking me yet?" He didn't reply. He didn't have to. As midnight neared, the diner emptied until only Michael, Grace, and the soft hum of the jukebox remained. He pushed the contract aside, entirely focused on her now. "You're not just a waitress." Grace wiped the counter calmly. "I'm plenty of things. Waitress, sister, daughter. I studied computer science for a while, but life changed." "Why'd you quit?" "Didn't quit. Had to pause. My mom got sick. My brother needed help. Someone had to keep the bills paid." Her voice was steady, but heavy. "I've kept learning on my own. Coding mostly. Helps me think." Michael stared at her differently now. Coding? Like what? She hesitated and then showed him her phone. "An app I've been building. Who takes a waitress seriously, though? No degree, no fancy resume, just code I write at 2 a.m. Michael's brain raced. Langston Enterprises was losing ground in communication tech. Her prototype could change the game. But more than that, her insight, her ability to cut through complexity, his polished team didn't have that. "You're wrong," he said softly. "Someone would take you seriously. I would." Grace raised an eyebrow. "You? The guy who called me sweetheart?" He deserved that. "But I'm not blind. You're brilliant, Grace. Let me help you build this for real. Funding, resources, a team." She studied him carefully. "Why should I trust you? You barely know me." "Because I know talent, and you just saved my deal. Let me return the favor." In the following week, Michael finalized the merger using Grace's suggestions, saving millions in the process. But he couldn't stop thinking about her app, her mind, her story. He returned to Rosie's, this time with a proposal, a partnership under Langston Enterprises with Grace as the lead developer. Grace agreed, but on her terms. She'd keep her job until the app launched, and she wanted creative control. Michael, unaccustomed to being challenged, respected her all the more. As they worked, Michael saw her world, a life of late-night coding, family responsibility, dreams sacrificed but never abandoned. He introduced him to her recovering mother and her anxious teenage brother. Michael, who had always seen success as a solo journey, realized the strength of resilience and community. 6 months later, their app, ConnectSphere, launched to critical acclaim. It wasn't just software, it became a lifeline, making communication faster and safer. Grace became a rising tech name and started a scholarship for working-class students so others could finish what she couldn't. Michael changed too. He rebuilt Langston's hiring system, seeking talent in unexpected places. Community colleges, small towns, diners, never forgetting the lesson Grace taught him. Brilliance doesn't need a pedigree, only a chance. A year later, Michael sat in Rosie's again, not as a powerful CEO hiding from a crisis, but as a regular. Grace joined him, no longer a waitress, but a celebrated developer, celebrating the newest ConnectSphere update. The diner buzzed with energy. The jukebox played softly. Michael lifted his coffee mug. "To underestimating people," he said with a quiet smile. Grace clinked her mug against his. "To proving them wrong." Outside, the city moved on, unaware of the quiet revolution that began in a diner booth. It wasn't just a story about an app or a deal. It was about seeing people, truly seeing them, and realizing the world is far bigger and brighter than any boardroom.